Local service ads are the cheapest and highest intent lead source in roofing right now. What I found is that 73% of homeowners never click past the 3-pack. If you're paying $125 a call on average, I would highly suggest that you pick up the phone calls. Otherwise, you're just throwing money to the wind. They're just like, I'm not going to answer. Let people leave a voicemail and I'll get back with them. Well, they get back with them by the next day or two. That homeowner is long gone. They have already called 3 other roofing companies and they've gotten 3 quotes already because it's the speed to lead that is leading these days. All right, howdy, and welcome to our latest workshop for Roofer Marketing Heroes. My name is Chris Hunter, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Roofer Marketing Heroes. I'm also the author of the Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. All right, so let's talk through what we're going to be talking about today, right? Every month, as you know, we do a workshop and we choose a topic. Well, the topic that we chose for this month for July 2026 is something that is working for some people and not working for others, right? And there's a lot of reasons why it doesn't work, but we're going to be talking about local service ads, right? Google local service ads, as you know, or might not know, have become, and I've been preaching it for years, that the roofing company based off of local service ads alone. Okay. I still believe that. I still believe that if properly optimized, that you could easily create even a bigger roofing company based off of them. Okay. So, and one of the reasons for that, by the way, right, as I did research for this topic again, and so I wrote about it in my book, The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. But what I found is that 73% of homeowners never click past the 3-pack, right? And really the rules have been changing dramatically with Google because they have to keep up with ChatGPT and Perplexity and Google Gemini and all that kind of stuff. And yes, they own Google Gemini. But here's the deal is that 2026 is radically changed, and it's changing at such a fast pace, right, in the whole marketing world, that we have to keep up. And this is just one of those things that we need to talk about, right, for this month. Okay, so in the next 45 minutes, here's my promise to you. We're going to give you the 5 moves. We're going to boil it down to 5 things, right, that you need to do in order to actually rank inside of the local service ads and start getting leads through there, okay? All right, so I'm going to start this out like I always start out all of my workshops lately, right, is do what everyone else isn't doing. I learned this a long time ago. This is something that, you know, a coach of mine told me, is to make sure to make yourself stand out in your market is to do everything that everybody else is not doing, okay? So let's use that as our guiding principle here, okay? All right, so what we're going to walk out today with is you're going to get Google verified. Try saying that. Gosh. All right. We want to make sure that we pass the screening the right way, avoid all the rejections, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to give you a little bit of information on exactly how to do that. We're going to rank in the LSA pack, all right, which, by the way, is only 2 spots. Only 2 spots, right? But there are several others when click through and you can find more. But just like in Google Business Profile, the map pack is there's 3. Well, with LSAs, there's only 2. Okay. And we're going to talk about how to lower your cost per lead, because if you're getting leads in, that's great. But if you're spending $300, $400 a lead and not making that much money off of them, then it's makes it not profitable for you to actually run these ads. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're constantly working on lowering that cost per lead. All right. So this is what I wrote the book on, literally. All right. This is my framework that I've been using really for the past 20 years. And yes, I've added things to it and taken things away. Okay. So the 4R roofing marketing system is made up of 4 pillars, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. All right. The first pillar is reputation. You cannot do anything whatsoever in marketing and in sales without a solid reputation. Okay, this is your foundation. Next pillar is reach. getting in front of more people today than knew about you yesterday. Most people that reach out to us, this is what they want to talk about. Okay. There's so much more, however, to a good marketing system, and they're missing the boat on the next two pillars, right? Which is resell. We're 8 to 10 times more likely to sell to somebody who has purchased from us before in the past and had a positive experience, but yet very few roofers ever go back after the sale and try to sell anything else, right? So this is a very important system. This could easily double or triple your company overnight, okay, just by utilizing your database. Every Fortune 500 company in the entire world knows this principle to go back to the database over and over and over and over again, okay? Next pillar is referral. This is how we built our companies based off of referrals. That's how, friends and family, you want to make sure that they all know. But as you scale your roofing company, as you add more employees and more salespeople, and you get more and more customers, well, this system breaks. Okay. And so we want to make sure that we have a system for referrals, that we're getting referrals on a regular basis. Okay. So that's what this pillar is all about. Okay. I quickly went through this, told you I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. If you want more detail on this, go to our YouTube channel. I go over this in detail every single year at the beginning of the year. Look for the 4R roofing marketing system, right? And the digital marketing plan for roofers for whatever this would be 2026. Okay. Okay. What we are here to talk about is Google, right? And in the past couple of months, we've been talking a lot about Google. Okay. And there are four main spots, right, inside of Google for us to take up. Now, a lot of people ask me, though, right, why Google, right? Why not ChatGPT? Why not, Perplexity or whatever other local, why not Bing? Well, it's because of this right here. One, it has the highest buyer intent, right? And I have a lot of people that come to us, right, from that have run ads on Facebook or Instagram, maybe some YouTube ads, maybe some display ads, right? Nothing like that really works standalone, right? And it's because, and it's this simple philosophy, is that they're not going there to look for you. Homeowners are not going to Facebook. They're not going to Instagram. They're not going to YouTube to find you. Okay. Where they are going is Google, right? So we want to concentrate on Google. I'm a huge believer in Pareto's law, in the 80-20 rule, right? That 20% of the effort will bring you 80% of the results. This right here is the 20%. If we concentrate just on Google, will bring us 80% of our results. Okay. And here's the stats on it. So every month I go and I check this website, statcounter.com, I believe is the name of the site, right? They list out and they measure all sorts of things. There's tons of things that they measure, but the one that I pay attention to are the search engines. Okay. So this was taken a couple of months ago, right? I went there to their website today. It was actually broken, so I couldn't take a today screenshot, but actually I took this last month. But if you look at this, as of last month, Google is 85% of the search traffic in the whole United States of America. Okay. I narrowed it down to the US. It's actually much higher worldwide, much bigger worldwide. So this alone to me says I need to concentrate. If I'm looking at any other browser out there, Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, Yandex, I don't even know what that last one is, honestly. Obviously, no, neither does the United States because it's 0.1%. Google here is sitting at 85.51%. That's the one I'm going to concentrate on. Sure, can leads come in through Bing? Sure, but I'm going to concentrate my first efforts on Google. Okay, does that make sense? So this makes sense, right? Let's concentrate on Google here, right? Luis one. ChatGPT, right? So let's look at LLMs. They also have a little area here that we can look at the chat bots, right? What should we concentrate on there? If people are going to search, right? If they're going to go look for you, what should I concentrate on? Well, this almost mimics 100% what we saw with Google. except this is 67%. So 67% in Chat GPT, Gemini, 10%. So the month prior to this, it was actually much higher on Chat GPT, but they dipped down because, well, actually the month before they actually dipped down quite a bit because there was all that political, mess that OpenAI got into, right? And so people started leaving Chat GPT. And they migrated a lot of their stuff over to Claude, which is Anthropic, which is the company for them. Okay. But as you can see here, Google Gemini is actually up there quite a bit. So that gives us two pretty good reasons to concentrate on Google. Okay. It's only 10% here. If I'm going to concentrate on a chatbot, I'm probably going to concentrate on Chat GPT. However, this next statistic will tell me something way different. I decided, okay, well, let's compare Google versus Chat GPT. All right. There's a way to do that on this website here. All right. 99.84% Google versus 0.16% Chat GPT. This is mind blowing. When I first saw this statistic a couple of months ago, it just blew my mind. And it further cements that Google is the big dog. Google is who we concentrate on for roofing companies to get roofing leads in on, right? They are the number one thing to concentrate on. Once you get that fixed, then you can start concentrating on some other things too. Okay. We all agree on that one. Next, I mentioned my domination method. Okay. Here's my domination method. And dominating to me means that you're taking up a lot of spots on Google. We want to take up as many spots on Google. So here are all of the spots that you have the opportunity to be in. Again, people are going to search for your roofing company right now, your services in your area through Google. They're still doing that. Okay, so the very number one spot, local service ads, what we're going to talk about here today. Okay, number two, Google Ads. Pay-per-click still works. In fact, me and my team literally just went through an account and I presented the math on that it's actually working. Okay. Number three, Google Maps. Okay. Everyone understands what the 3-pack is. Everybody understands that is a very high buyer intent. And what I talked about at the beginning of this is that the vast majority of searchers don't move past Google Maps at this point. Okay. Last, there's organic plus what we are referring to as AEO, AI Engine Optimization. Okay. Our industry, the marketing industry, is still trying to figure out what we're going to call this, right? Some folks are calling it GEO, Generative Engine Optimization. I'm just sticking with AEO. Okay. Because the other thing that you could say on that is that all engine optimization. Okay. Which is I kind of prefer that. All right. So organic plus AEO means that AEO, the area above the search, right, or right below the search, a lot of times on a lot of searches is coming up with this AI answer. Okay. How do we get in that spot? And that's what that is all about. Okay. But let's talk about where these looked, right? In 2025, I took some screenshots. The local service ads were up top, right? Google Ads below them. Maps, and then organic. Okay. And organic, that's what we all know. That's what the vast majority of people to this day still trust more than anywhere else. But look at what's happened to the search engines now. Now, mind you, back then, 2025, I was using a white browser. Now I'm using a dark browser because it's better on the eyes. But if you look at this, we've got, when I did a search for the roofing company in my area in College Station, right, we have the 3-pack and we have organic. I don't even see local service ads. I don't see any pay-per-click ads, which kind of blew me away because that's how Google makes their money. Okay. Did another search, help me find a roofing company, right? Be a little bit more intensive about that, right? Not sure if that's even a word, but I'm making it a word right now. All right. Have more intent towards it, right? Help me find a roofing company. And it came up with the very top here as the AI generated version. No ads, mind you. 0 ads on any of this, including local service ads. Your area is going to be different, right? If you're in the Dallas area, most likely there's going to be ads. Okay. If you are in a moderately competitive area, most likely there's going to be ads. I'm confused, honestly, why there's not ads showing in College Station. Okay. All right. So let's go through some economics here. Now, and this is kind of a general rule of thumb of what we tell our clients is that they are a very high buyer intent. Okay. The difference between Google ads and local service ads, the biggest difference is that local service ads are pay per lead, meaning that when someone reaches out to you, that's when you have to pay for that. Okay. A little bit higher. All right. Per action. Okay. Pay per click is that every time someone clicks on your ad and go to your website, you pay for that action to happen. Okay. Typically what we see is that on the PPC, the pay per click side of things, that it's anywhere between $25 to $50 a click right now for roofers. Okay. Sometimes higher. If you're in the DFW area, it's going to be much higher. Now, when they click on your ad on pay per click, they have to go to a landing page that then converts them. Typical conversion rates are less than 10% on a page. So you've got to get 10 people to your page to even probably get a lead at a 10% conversion rate. Okay. So if that's $25 a click, I'm going to stay very moderate there. If it's $25 a click, that's $250 per lead that you're going to pay. All right. On the simple math side of things. If you get that cost, if you get the conversion rate higher, you probably pay a lot less. Okay. There's a lot of things that go into that. I do a whole workshop on how to optimize your website. All right. But that's a whole separate thing. Cost per lead, however, for what we're seeing, at least right now, inside of the local service ads platform is anywhere, honestly, in between $50 per lead, and that's really on the super low side, to $150 per lead, $250 maybe. Okay, we see a wide range of this and a lot of variability that goes into that. The variables are simply how competitive is your area? Is it storm season, right? Any of those kinds of things. But what we do see is that it's a much higher conversion rate on the actual jobs, if that makes sense. Okay, so when we track it all the way through, that lead has a higher intent to become, a job for you. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so let's talk about some of the changes, right? There's been a lot of changes in the local service ads platform in the past year. Okay, so they retired the Google Guaranteed badge, right? We used to have this cool badge. We could even put it on our website. We had it, it was a guarantee, right, of $2,000 that if someone didn't like your services, they would get paid by Google $2,000. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they would have to go through, and I doubt seriously that Google gave up very much money on that side of things, right? But they went away from this Google Guaranteed badge, okay? All right, the $2,000 money back guarantee is gone. Manual lead disputes, that was a thing. It's no longer a thing. Okay, you can't go in and manually say this was not a lead, right? There's a way to rate it. There's some other things that you could do to lead it down the path that you're not going to get charged for that lead. Okay, and we'll talk about those here in a little bit. But just know that the manual lead, dispute area is gone. Okay, separate local service review system, that's gone. That used to be a thing. It used to be completely separate. Then they had to figure out how to tie those two with your Google business profile and with the local service ads platform. And it was probably, honestly, the data engineers were like, this is a nightmare. Why do we have two different systems doing the same exact thing? So Google finally wisened up and said, yes, let's only pull in reviews through Google business profile. We already have that system. Why are we doing this other system? So it's all done through Google business profile now. All right. So what's new in 2026? We've got the Google verified blue check. in now. Okay. A little bit different than the Google guarantee, but again, it comes down to that $2,000, money back guarantee that's gone. Reviews run through your GBP. Okay. That's a good thing, I think, because it's a very good system. Automated lead credits, they've got AI checking these things and have had them, being checked for a while. Okay. There's no manual disputes anymore, right? Again, we'll go over how to get out of those things as quickly as possible, right? Or what's more effective. Your reviews now carry the trust weight, right? They're one of the most important things. And if you remember on my 4R system, your reputation is the pillar that is the most important. Well, Google understands this principle and they're weighting their algorithms based off of reviews. Okay. I have told this to many roofers, even our own clients. Some of them, past clients, didn't believe me on that, right? Didn't believe us that's what was happening with Google Business Profile, as well as ranking their Google Business Profile as well as their local service ads. Well, guess what? Your reputation, your reviews coming in is the most important thing. Okay. Okay. So why roofers waste local service ad spend, right? Well, a lot of times when we look in accounts, they have the wrong category set up. All right. Maybe they have general contractor set up. Right. Make sure you have roofing contractor set up. All right. Second, their service areas are spread out. It was just everywhere. They wanted to take up the entire state, pretty much with one ad account, and it's just Google knows that it's not possible for you to do that, right? Physically possible for you to do that. So they want you nowadays to have separate Google business profiles in separate areas and the local service ad tied to that GBP in that separate area. Okay. Google is no longer crediting mismatches, right? If you say, well, I don't do that service, they're no longer crediting you for that. Okay. And so therefore you're just going to waste ad spend. If you're not paying attention to that and tracking back that this person came in through here and this was the service that they were looking for, and not going all the way back to your services inside of the local service ads and turning that off, then you're just going to continue wasting money. Okay. Missed calls to me is the biggest one, right? It's what we solved for. It's been almost a year and a half, 2 years, right? That we've had Samantha. Samantha is a voice AI receptionist. Before that, we had a call center, but we noticed a long time ago that the folks that were not answering their phones weren't really ranking. They weren't getting much out of their local service ads. Okay. You gotta, and the ones that were, by the way, making it a priority to answer their phone calls, we've got a client that they make it a priority to answer within 4 rings. They've got 2 people sitting in the back end doing nothing but answer phone calls. Okay. They make it a priority. Guess what? Their local service ads work really well. Okay. Google understands this. They know this, right? And so I highly, highly suggest that you either hire people or hire AI to do it for you. Okay. Answer your phones. RoofingSites.com. Since 2018, RoofingSites.com has helped roofers double their sales by getting their marketing right using the 4R roofing marketing system. If you're a roofing company owner wanting to grow your business, be sure to go to RoofingSites.com and sign up for a roofing marketing strategy session with me. All right, so here's the playbook. All right, very first thing that we need to do is that we need to get verified. You can't do anything unless you get your account verified. It first starts with your Google Business Profile. If you don't have a Google Business Profile, set that up first, then set up a local service ads account. Okay, just type into Google local service ads and they'll push you towards that. You've got to get it verified. In certain states, right, you're going to have to, the way to do that is that you have to give them your documents of your company. You're going to show them the LLC, DBA, whatever. Okay, it's got to match your Google Business Profile. Okay, if those 2 things don't match, you're dead in the water. Okay. Number 2, You've got to show them your insurance. Okay. Your general liability insurance that you get for your company normally, anyways, you got to show that to them. Okay. If your state requires licensing, which in the state of Texas currently, right now in 2026, does not require licensing. A lot of states do, like Florida, California, right? A lot of states require it. Google knows this, right? They're going to say, you have to show us your license. By the way, the name on the license and on insurance and on the LLC all have to match up. If they don't, you better figure that out, right? And figure it out quick if you hire someone like us, because otherwise, local service ads ain't working. Okay. All right. So that's step number one, get verified. It usually takes a couple of weeks, right? If you've got all your documents, it's actually these days going a lot faster than that. Used to, way back in the day, right, when they first introduced local service ads, it took a while to get verified. They've sped that up dramatically. Okay. Next, let's rank. Let's get ranked. Okay. We're gonna go over all this stuff on exactly what to do here in a minute. But number two big step is let's get ranked. Number three, lower your cost per lead. Okay, let's optimize it. Let's continue optimizing it, right? Let's lower that cost per lead. You can do that for things, not just in the setup, not in just the management of the LSA account, but it's also things like answering your phones, answering the messages. Do it as soon as you possibly can. All right. Number four, mine the leads, meaning that you've got to go into their interface and work the leads through the system there. Okay. You've got to not only work them there, right? You've got to rate them. You've got to do all these things, but basically work their system. It's Google's system. So guess what? It's tied to the algorithm. The more that you work it, the faster you work it, the better that you work it. It's just going to help the whole account out. Okay. So those 4 steps. All right. Everybody with me so far? Okay. Step number one, get Google verified. I started going into some of these things, right? Your business license plus general liability, your workers' comp, okay, where it's required, your background checks. Oh, yeah, that was one thing I didn't say. You've got to go through a background check. Okay, Google's got to make sure you're not a criminal, that you haven't fraudulently done stuff, in the past, those kinds of things. Because Google, right, back when they were guaranteeing people, right, that was a big thing to them. Right? It's still a big thing. It's still in there in the verification process. Verified GBP, you've got to do that. And that's been there for quite a while, right? Those 2 systems, your Google business profile and local service ads, are tightly ingrained together. Okay. Step number 2, let's rank it. Okay. How do you rank it? Well, number 1 is reviews. All right, we talked about that a little while ago. Reviews are the basis of everything here. If you don't have a review system, I highly recommend that you get a review system. We call ours the review machine. It helps you get reviews in. If one of our customers that has a really, really good rate of getting reviews after every job, they have those 2 people, and this is the same company, they have those 2 people that are answering their phones. Guess what? Follow up after the job, okay, and call, right? And they're not calling from, hey, would you mind rating us standpoint. They're calling from a customer service standpoint of, hey, how's your roof holding up? Okay, you have any issues? No? Awesome. Hey, would you mind, while I'm talking to you, would you mind going and leaving us a review, right? It's not a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to remember to do if you're a single roofing company owner and you have all these jobs on your plate. But if you give someone that task or you have a system for that, right, it makes it a heck of a lot easier. Okay, so reviews are the number 1 factor, right? We want to shoot for 50 plus reviews, right, that are good reviews, right? Right here, we've got 4.8. If we dip below 4.8, go get some more reviews that are 5 stars. Okay. You're going to have an outlier review. That's not what this whole workshop is about. But if you have an outlier, you have someone that's not happy with you, make sure that you respond to it, right? You don't want to leave a bad review sitting out there. respond to it respectfully and professionally because that's what people are looking for in those types of reviews. Not, oh, well, you didn't do this, and do it like, I'm escaping the word escaping, but basically answer it professionally. Okay. Answer rate, pick up every call. We talked about that, right? We have to pick up every call. It's important. It's very important because one, you're paying for that person to call you. Okay. If you're paying $125 a call on average, I would highly suggest that you pick up the phone calls. Okay. Otherwise, you're just throwing money to the wind. Proximity to the searcher. This is important with local service ads, just as it is important with Google Business Profile. If you put in, let's say I'm in Orlando, and I put in Jacksonville as my service area, right? Do you think if someone is searching for something in Jacksonville, do you think Google's going to place priority over you or someone who actually physically is in Jacksonville? Well, basic rule of thumb, it's going to go to that person, that roofing company that is physically located in Jacksonville. Okay. All right. Step number 3. Let's lower our CPL. What does CPL stand for? That's cost per lead. Okay. It's an important number to know. The cost per lead. And by the way, I've gone round and round with lots of roofing company owners on this because the terminology in certain CRMs in our industry, right, call things way different. A lead is not an appointment. Okay. A lead is not an appointment. A lead is someone who raises their hand and says they want you to help them. Okay. There's someone who calls, there's someone who fills out a form, there's someone who direct messages you, who text messages you, anything like that, right? They reached out to you. That is called a lead. Okay. And I only figured this out after one of our, and I'm not going to name the CRM, but the CRM calls it, a lead. Anyone who is put into the database, who's put into the software, that's not what a lead is. Okay. A lead is a lead is someone. All right. I just messed up. Inside of that CRM, someone who is put into that database is a lead, not just an appointment. Right. And that's what was the terminology was going back and forth there on that. Okay. I'll just confuse you. Don't worry about it. Cost per lead is what we're focused on here. Right. We want to get that cost down. The lower that cost is, the better. Right. We mentioned that we see anywhere in between $50 to $250 cost per lead inside of the local service ad platform. Okay. 50 being on the very low side, 250 being on the very high side. Okay. So here's how we do it. We tighten the categories and service areas, right? We already talked a little bit about this, but make sure that your categories that you have set inside of the local service ads platform is what you want jobs for, first of all. Okay. If you don't do siding, as an example, don't click on siding inside of the local service ads platform, right? Just because you want leads in, you got to be able to service those leads, right? If you don't do windows, don't put windows. If you don't do gutters, don't put anything with gutters, because there's gutters and gutters repair, and I think there's even gutters cleaning, right? So that's a prime example. Also, there is that if you do repair and you do gutters, but don't do cleaning, make sure that that's unchecked. Okay. So tighten those things down to the services that you not only do, but the ones that you want. Okay. And we've done this with clients before in the past as well, as really tightening it to exactly the type of job that you want. Okay. If you're going to pay for a job, okay, let's say that your repairs are typically $2,000. Okay. And your replacements are industry average, $15,000. Okay. If you don't want the repair jobs, don't click on the repair checkbox. Okay. You have control over what type of jobs that people are searching for. Just know, I literally just had a conversation about this with my team. A lot of people that are searching for a repair are replacement. Okay. A lot of those are. So you don't want to throw out, what is it called? Don't throw out the bathwater with the baby, or the baby with the bathwater, right? Okay. So make sure, test it, If leads go down, if jobs go down, add it back in, see if that helps. Okay. The other part is service area, making sure that that's tight. Our rule of thumb is make sure that it's no more than 30 to 60 miles outside of your actual office area location. Okay. 60 miles is a long way. I tell everyone we want to own what's tight to them first and then move outwards from there. Okay. So start with that general rule of thumb of 30 miles and then move outwards. Okay. Try to test that out. Answer every call. I can't stress that enough. We want to make sure they answer every single phone call that comes in. And I know marketers call. I know they call us too. You know, they you have tons and tons of vendors that call. You know, and the argument that I usually get with roofing companies that don't answer their phone, like literally, I had one that was answering 1 out of every 10 phone calls. You know, the argument that I get is, well, it's all spam. It's not all spam, because you're going to have that 1 out of 10. You're going to have 2 or 3 out of 10 that are homeowners. And a homeowner this day and age in 2026, they are not going to wait around. You know, they're going to keep calling until someone actually answers their phone. And this isn't just for roofing. This is every contractor out there in the world, because they're getting spammed so much. They're just like, I'm not going to answer. Let people leave a voicemail and I'll get back with them. Well, they get back with them by the next day or two. That homeowner is long gone. They have already called 3 other roofing companies and they've gotten 3 quotes already, because it's the speed to lead that is leading these days. Okay. Budget to crew capacity, right? What does that actually mean? Well, it means that you want to make sure that you can match up. If you've got 1 crew, okay, if you got 1 crew only, you want to make sure that that crew can keep up with your budget, okay? If, let's say that you set it at a $25,000 budget, okay, for the month, which would be $5,000 a week inside the local service ads platform, right? Am I doing the math on that right? Probably not. Only if there's 5 weeks. Okay, so let's make that math a little easier for Chris here, right? Is that if it's $20,000, that would be $5,000 a week, right? Okay, so make sure you match that budget up as best as you can. Don't overspend what your crews can actually do, because then you're going to start getting bad reviews, and that's just a downhill spiral there. Okay, all right. Next, scale around the storm season, right? It is still storm season right now in most of America, and especially mid-America, right? Tons and tons of tornadoes, hail, storms are still happening, and we're sitting in July, okay? Here in Texas, they've slowed down on the storms, but I heard about a tornado the other day in San Antonio. So maybe not. Maybe it's still storm season, right? We've got this super El Nino that's happening this year. Supposed to be most of the southern states that are affected, but it seems to be traveling upwards into the Midwest, okay, right now, meaning that the storm season is still here. Here in Texas, storm season also is in the fall, traditionally, okay? If you're in Florida, then you want to scale this around hurricane season, which is right now, till December, right? So start thinking about those things. And when you're planning out your budget for the year for this type of situation, think around that. Okay, well, I'm going to want more during this season than this season. And there's 2 schools of thought around that. Okay, and I talked about it in my first of the year budgeting workshop, right? You can go to YouTube, go find that workshop. But there's 2 schools of thought on this, right? Is that you want to spend more on ads in slow seasons and less during busy seasons. That's what I think. And that's simply because we've got to spend more to get more leads coming in, right? If it's not raining, we might need to spend a little bit more and put a little bit more ad budget out there to get those leads in. If people are naturally finding us on Google, right, on Google Business Profile and organic and everything is all humming, and we're getting in more than we can actually handle, why would we spend more in ads, right? That's something that we can scale down during those times. And we've had clients do that. They're like, I need you to scale these things back. We're too busy right now. Okay. Think about those things ahead of time Look back at prior years. If you've run any kind of ads for yourself in prior years, think about those things, ahead of time. Step number 4, let's mine these leads. Remember, manual disputes are gone. Okay. You've got to rate them now. And there's a little link in the upper right-hand corner that says rate this lead on every lead. I would first add your information in to the CRM part, right? This person was a vendor. This person was a marketer. Okay. Whatever. And then rate it as bad lead, right? What happens is that later down the road, and the more that you're doing this, the more feedback that you're giving to Google's algorithm on what constitutes a lead, what doesn't constitute a lead, who should we show our ads to, who should we not show our ads to. And maybe that's why I personally didn't see ads, right, on that one screenshot that I was showing you, probably because Google's like, oh, this guy's a marketer. Let's not waste local service ads or pay-per-click ads on this guy, right? Because they know a ton of about people, right? So, and it's creepy, and it is what it is. All right, we want to rate every lead. Okay, we've just talked about that. Credits, by the way, typically appear within those 30 days. You're going to know, right? It's going to show you if they credited you or not for that lead pretty quickly these days. Okay, it's being done by AI now. It's not manually being done by humans anymore, and hasn't been for a while. Okay. Number 3, like I said, the ratings train the algorithm. Better leads, 60, 90 days. The more that you're training that system, the better it works. Okay. And no credit for job type mismatches. That's a big thing, that they've gone towards lately. Step 1, like it says here, is your protection. Make sure that you have the correct service area put in, the correct services added. Okay. All right. So let's go through the ranking factors for 2026. Number 1, review score, right? Count the amount of reviews that you have plus the rating. Are they 5 stars? Are they 3 stars? Are they 1 stars? All right. The better job that you do on a customer service standpoint, the better this whole engine is going to work. Okay. Recency on reviews. How recent was your latest one? Are you getting, and this is what we require from every one of our customers, is we need 1 review a week, minimum. Are you getting that? Okay, if the last, go look at your count. When was the last time you got a review? Was it 6 months ago? Well, guess what? You're probably not going to do very well in local service ads, because they're giving more, a higher ranking, okay, to companies that are getting them on a regular basis, and it's more recent. Response rate to those reviews. Did you respond to it, good or bad? Okay. If you're not responding to them, Google just, okay, you don't care about this. And so you're further down. And so that might be just an invisible thing that you're not sure, why are these not working? Look at this. Your responsive rate, how fast do you answer? Okay. How many of those calls do you answer? Do you actually follow up with the messages that people are sending you? Google sees it all. It's built into the algorithm. Number 5, proximity to searcher. We talked about that, right? If you're in Orlando, probably not going to rank in Jacksonville unless you have a Jacksonville location. Verified GBP plus completeness of the GBP. They add stuff all the time, right? I remember we probably last year, we looked at Google Business Profiles, and it could have been 2 years ago. They added social links in there and didn't tell us. No one knew about it. It's just a hidden thing. So if you're not going into your Google Business Profile, you wouldn't have known it. Okay. There's things that are added periodically to those. And so going into that on a regular basis and looking, oh, what else do I need to fill out? Give them the whole picture as much as you possibly can. My rule of thumb is that if there's something to fill out, fill it out, right? Easy. Number 7, category accuracy. Make sure that your categories match up on both local service ads and Google Business Profile, okay, as much as you possibly can. Now, if you don't want to pay for those citing jobs, or Windows jobs or gutter jobs or solar, whatever, any of those, just don't check them inside of local service ads. You can have them inside a Google Business Profile, but it's the opposite that really affects you. If you're saying that you do solar and it's not over on your Google Business Profile, that's going to hurt you. Okay. So make sure that those two things match up. Service area precision, again, coming down to that, is that truly your search area? Make sure it matches up, by the way, with local service ads as well as your Google Business Profile. In Google Business Profile, you have a place to go tell Google what your service area is. Again, stick with 30 miles. Once you start ranking in those on both local service ads and in the map pack, then you can start expanding outward slowly. Okay. Don't just automatically go in and say, we do the whole state of Florida, whole state of Texas. Google knows that's nonsense. Okay. So just keep it tight, move it outwards. Number 9, budget consistency. All right. One day, is it $1? The next day, is it $5,000 for your weekly budget? Okay. If you're steadily adding, that's going to please Google, right? But sometimes you do have to take those things down. Don't ever, by the way, take a local service ads and pause the local service ads account. That will kill the algorithm for you, and you have to start all back over. We've had clients do that, and we're like, what just happened? And we try to get it back, and it takes months and months and months for that to get back performing the way it was. Just dial down your budget, okay? But keep it consistent. If you want consistent leads from local service ads, you've got to be consistent yourself. Okay. Number 10, hours, response windows. Make sure that if you put 24 hours in, make sure you actually answer the phone in that 24-hour period, right? Meaning that if someone calls at 10 p.m., have a way for someone to actually answer that phone at 10 p.m. because the algorithm is listening, AI is listening. If it just goes to a voicemail, they know it just went to a voicemail, and they know that what you put in there for 24/7 as your hours of operation is complete BS. Okay. It's going to hurt you. Okay. So make sure that you're doing that. All right. These are the top 10 things. Speed to lead matters. It matters greatly. Okay. What does that mean? That means that you answer as fast as you possibly can, both messages. There's 2 ways inside of the local service ads area for you to get a lead in. First one is messages. Second one is phone calls. Okay. Google's paying attention to both of those, and they pay attention to how fast you're responding. Now, do you have to respond within 1 minute? No, but I will guarantee that if you don't answer a message in the LSA platform within 5 minutes, that homeowner is going to be gone. Because if you take a day, if you take 2 days, a week, long gone. Okay. Speed to lead matters. AI follow-up. We have AI agents set up. I went over this in one of our workshops a couple months ago, our AI operating system. We have 3 agents, okay, set up inside of our AI OS, our AI operating system for roofers. First one is Samantha. I've already talked about her, right? She answers the phones for when you can't answer the phone. So it ranges for clients anywhere in between 3 to 4 rings is a really good rule of thumb. We give you the opportunity to answer it, we give our roofers the opportunity to answer the phone. It rolls over to Samantha, right? When you don't answer. We understand you're up on the roof, you're eating dinner, you're sleeping, right? We understand that. So make sure that something is there or someone is there answering the phone if you've got it 24/7 set as your I would prefer 24/7 for all of our clients. Make sure if we've got Samantha set up, we've got everything set up as 24/7. Okay. Automated review velocity. Make sure that you have an automated system, right? What we called our review machine, and make sure that everything on the underlying where this is an advertisement here for our own services here, but Site Supercharger plus the AI operating system, make sure that is handling your entire back end. Okay. We also have a CRM called the Appointment Machine that handles all of this stuff. So here's what stopped working in 2026. We're at 11:59, so I'm going to quickly go through this. All right. Selling or relying on the $2,000 Google guarantee, it's gone. Don't put that in your marketing. Don't put it on your website, right? It's gone. Google won't do that anymore. Number two, set and forget it budgets, right? From our experience, the more that you mess with this budget and keep inching it up, the the better that your LSAs work. Okay, lots of other factors, but don't just set it and forget it. Don't just put it at $5,000 and walk away for a year. It probably will not be working in a year. Okay, ignoring leads instead of rating them. You got to go through there and click the rate this lead. Loose categories, bloated service areas. This doesn't work anymore, right? Okay, so that's it. Local service ads, self-audit, 10 points. There are 10 things to look at here, okay? Verification current. You got your license, insurance, and background information is current. Number two, Google business profile is linked and verified and completed. Okay, look at this at least at a minimum of a quarterly basis. Review count plus rating, right? Versus your market. Make sure that you are paying attention to what everybody else is, your competition's doing. Okay. Are they getting reviews faster than you? Do they have more on a regular basis? Then maybe you need to up your game a little bit there. Okay. Number four, review recency. How recent is it? Right. We talked about that. Response rate to reviews. You have to respond to every review. Google pays attention to that for both ranking in the 3-pack as well as local service ads. Number six, answer rate on calls. Make sure you're answering your calls. I can't stress that enough. Okay. Category accuracy. We talked about that. Number eight, service area precision. Again, if you're in Orlando, don't put Jacksonville unless you've got Jacksonville GBP, office, and LSA all set up for Jacksonville alone. Budget versus crew capacity. Just don't overstep your shoes, right? And lead rating habit. Rate every single one of those leads as they come through. Okay. All right. Looking forward. Verified is the only trust badge now. Review velocity, reviews, raw volume. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because we've beat this into the ground. LSA plus GBP fused into one reputation system. That's a big one. AI and voice surface verified pros first. Okay. If you don't have voice AI set up and you don't have a human answering that phone in off hours, you might want to look into voice AI. Okay. Local service ads, right, are the cheapest and highest intent lead source in roofing right now. I would highly, highly, highly recommend if you don't have local service ads set up, set them up now. Get them optimized. All right. We talked about the 4R roofing marketing system. Not going to go into that too much here. But the one thing I do want to stress again is do what everyone else isn't doing. Okay. Number one thing that they're not doing, I can tell you from experience right now, answering their phones. Figure that out before you hire someone like us, or hire someone like us and we'll figure it out for you because we've been through that and done that and built the systems for it. Okay. There's a workbook. I left it to the end because I didn't want you distracted on all of this. Use the QR code to get to it. If you're listening to this later on the podcast, it's at roofermarketingheroes.a-playbook. Again, that's roofermarketingheroes.book. Use the QR code if you want to get the workbook. I'll leave this here for just a second before we move on. Rochelle also shared out the link inside of the meeting chat. This goes through, by the way, this basically the checklist that I just gave you, right? Exactly how to audit your local service ads, figure out what you need to work on, and make sure that you actually take something away and do something from a workshop. There's a lot of people that show up to workshops and don't do things, right? Afterwards, it's good information, but that doesn't help you. Okay. So make sure, download the workbook, work through it, figure out your top 3 priorities. Okay. Is it getting a review system in place? Is it getting a voice AI system in place? Is it just simply rating those leads? Okay. Have you not done that ever? You might want to go through and do that. Okay. All right. Now, if you're here and you love learning how all this stuff works, but just would rather have someone else do all this stuff for you, we would love to help. We will do a free local service ads Call, audit it, get you set up, right? Make sure that you are up and humming away. Just use roofermarketingheroes.com/schedule to schedule a meeting with us, and we will help you get your marketing systems in place. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, roofingsites.com. Since 2018, roofingsites.com has helped roofers double their sales by getting their marketing right using the 4R roofing marketing system. If you're a roofing company owner wanting to grow your business, be sure to go to roofingsites.com and sign up for a roofing marketing strategy session with me. Also, this past year, I published my book, The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. If you're a roofing company owner and you don't have this book in your hands, I will send you a free digital copy. Just go to go.roofingsites.com and I'll send you a free copy of my book. Well, roofers, join me next time when we connect with another great roofing entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter. Thanks and gig 'em.